Hey there, viewers. Welcome back to the South Main Auto Channel. Got the 2001 Chevrolet. It's the S-10. It's got the big 4.3 and the money lights on. The guy drove it here though, and the money light was off. Apparently he drove it quite a ways to get here, a few hundred miles, I guess. And on the way here, the entire way here, the light was off, so he's freaking out, man. And then they had some issues though. The intake air temp and coolant temp went crazy. He had to stop at Napa on the way. They don't want to sponsor him, but they got him a coolant temp sensor and a connector, which he asked us to fix that. So I don't know if it's just temporarily, jerry-rigged on there so he could, continue on. And then apparently the intake air temp sensor, if you touch it, it goes crazy. So both pretty common issues on these old GMs. But engine lights on now with the PO135 and a bunch of other codes, which I assume were from where they were fiddling, because I think it has a mass airflow code, intake air temp, coolant temp. So I assume it's from whatever they were doing on the way here, but I double checked my notes. I'm pretty sure the P0135 is the one he wants us to go after. Regardless, we'll check that out, and then when we're all done, before I call him to come get it, we'll just run a drive cycle to be sure. So Alltel's in there, keys on, it's doing a scan. Let's have a look. She's all scanned, all 5 modules, 6 modules. Let's see, report. Yeah, so it has that mass airflow code, but when you look down through it, the only code that's requesting the engine light is this one here, the PO135. Okay. EGR, low voltage, intake air temp, engine coolant temp, both high voltage from being unplugged. EGR might actually be a real problem, but then coolant temp, intake air, mass air performance. So not a big surprise to see those there based on what he was telling me, but the only one that's requesting the indicator light is this O2 heater, which that seems ridiculously easy unless it doesn't work how I think it works. But and I would be willing to bet they already put an O2 sensor in there, at least I hope they would. So there's that. Wow. EBCM motor relay circuit, imagine that. I think GM's come with that from the factory. People get sick of smashing the car in front of them, so they pull the fuse out, and that's the code you get. At any rate, let's look at the P0135. We'll hop right into powertrain. Before we do that though, CYA, cover your assets. That's what I always like to say. Cover your hiney. We'll go through here and we'll have a look at the drive cycle, which is, I think when I peeked at it out there, it was not done. It is not done. We have 3 monitors incomplete. And that's probably a result of all the code clearing. 6 that are okay. So I'm guessing evap and catalyst. Nope, secondary air, evap, and catalyst. Okay, so I was kind of right. So those are always your last ones to run, especially secondary air around here. And your evap take forever. Okay, and then code-wise, pending PO135, current 135, and then the coolant temp sensor. Just pop into some live data. I think the coolant temp sensor was working. I just had my little handheld jobby on there when I was outside watching it warm up. Yeah, so 148. So it looks like coolant sensor's working right now. But like I said, he made us aware of an issue with that. We're gonna back out of here. We're gonna go back to some OEM data. And people are asking quite often, how come I hate the what do they call it? The Harbor Freight Icon T10. I don't. It's just I love my Alltel, so we're just using that. I got no static with the Icon. Just for the record, it's over there, and this is over here, and I can poke along way faster. But it's also a difference between a $5,000 scan tool and a $1,500 scan tool or $1,300. It's still a great tool. It's just, I like this one better, and that's just my opinion. And I'm entitled to my opinion. It's 2025, I'm entitled to a lot of things. Our printer is still broken until Monday. That's when the new one's gonna be here. So we're gonna have to use the old-fashioned screen. I'm gonna look up the O2 sensor. Oh, there it is right there, bank 1.1. Let me enhance you, and then we'll see how this heater here works. Stand by. Enhance, unenhance. I'll try to get it where you guys can see it. So here we are. What O2 sensor are we looking at anyways? 135 should be bank 1, right? Okay, let's make some small talk until I get logged in here. PO135, bank 1, sensor 1. Okay, so that is this O2 sensor right here. This is the heater circuit. Looks like we have a full-time ground at G114, left rear of engine. And then we got the pink wire here, goes up to number 30. Number 30, bring it around town. Oh, that goes straight to a fuse. Oh man, this thing's just cooking. Hot and runner start, so that's super duper easy. Let's make sure that our O2 heater is good. Yeah, that comes up to O2 sensor fuse. Oh, that should be a piece of cake. I thought these things were pretty primitive. I mean, 01, how difficult can it be? I should not say that out loud. I redact that statement. Okay, 1.1. So we got black, full-time power, pink, full-time hot with the key on. And then these other 2 wires we don't care about. Yeehaw, let's get after it. Is that everything we need to know? Just that? No, it's not. What we need to know is code set criteria. What is the PCM may not even be looking at the heater circuit, which we assume it's probably not because it's not even computer controlled. So we've ran across this before. Do you guys remember? I do. The HEGO, the HO2S heated oxygen sensor voltage remains within 150 millivolts of startup voltage for a predetermined amount of time based on engine coolant temp and airflow. So really it has nothing to do with the O2 sensor. Of course, they don't give you any of these criteria. They won't tell you, you know, what the predetermined time is. They won't tell you what they expect to see on coolant temp, airflow, none of that. So there's that. We'll still verify that the O2 heater works. It does give you the conditions for running, which are, you know, none of these codes. You know, what the voltage is. Anyways, so nothing super helpful here. Okay, let's get after it. This car must be from Florida. Are you from Florida? It must be, because it's way too dang clean to be from anywhere in this part of the country. What in the Florida's going on back here? I see lots of wires that have been cut and repaired. Awesome. Usually the drive shaft on these things, if I remember right, used to gobble up a lot of wiring harnesses. Anyhow, driver's side front should be number 1 on a Chevrolet. We're gonna unplug it. We've already cut the key on. Maybe we're gonna unplug it. Nope, we're not gonna unplug it. We're gonna get a little screwdriver. Can't get underneath there. Try to get it unplugged. Can't get the latch release. Let me just see if it's some kind of wing dong eBay thing going on here. The connector is giving me that kind of vibe. Oh, smash full of dielectric grease. That's a classic move. We'll have to try to clean all that stuff out of there. That can really goof up an O2 sensor. We've probably said it like 1,000 times on our channel. Don't put dielectric grease in your connectors. Especially these low voltage, you know, sensors like this. So Pink wire, black wire, what we're going into. Oh, okay. The key is on. We don't have any test light action. Let's come over here to a known good. So that's the easy fix then. Probably just more, like I say, you can see a bunch of chowdered up wires where somebody has done some fancy wiring at some point. Let's just see. Okay, so we're missing a ground because we have full-time power. And let me just check to make sure that's either supposed to be pin 2 or pin 3 for the ground. Stand by, folks. Yeah, so it's supposed to be pin C. Let me show you the connector here. I didn't realize I was doing a crappy job as usual. So pin C is ground, pin D is pink, that is power. So we're gonna leave our test light in there. And that comes straight from, you know, like a 20 amp fuse or something. So we're sticking 4 amp load on it, that's good. So it's missing a ground, and that goes to the left rear of the engine, is what it told us. If I remember right, these old Chevys, they were a pain in the hole to work on. There, height. Let me see if we can find this wire. I'll kind of dig through this mess here a little bit, see what we see, and then we'll go up and see if we can't find it up there. It's broke somewheres, obviously, or just maybe even unhooked. We need to make ourselves a custom tool. That's my custom tool. Needed to be really long because I think I see the problem, lady. Let's see if I'm gonna be able to show you. Let's see, my eyesight's too bad to see my viewfinder, so enhance. See those wires right there? Way up on top of the transmission. Yeah, enhance. Hopefully you guys can see them. I'm gonna reach up there. I don't think they're hooked to anything. Oh, negative, look at that. Well, let's see, you guys probably can't see this one. Let me get them down here. Hints. Where you at here, old son? Ah, shoot. Let me get some better lighting here. There we are. So hopefully you guys can see that. There's about 3 wires up there. Ends are cut off, all of them. I see somebody's been under the hood doing some fancy ground wiring as well. So chances are this got a clutch or something put in it and somebody gave it the old yank, or it did the traditional wrap the wires around the drive shafts and everybody gets yanked. Problem is that harness runs right smack on top of the trans. I'm not gonna pull a train and fix the wiring harness. I'm gonna have to figure out something else here. Not to make a mountain out of a molehill. The harness that's right there, I just opened up the poly loom a little bit, found the only black wire in it and pulled, and of course it's, you know, came down. Now there's 2 other ground wires there that are poking out. There's 3 wires total that look like they've been cut. I looked at G114 on a diagram. The other wire is just shielding wire for the speed sensor. So I'm not gonna get too carried away. That's all taped to the twisted pair coming from the speed sensor, and at some point it changes from braid to an actual, you know, chunk of wire. So I don't have a way to pull that through the harness. Now the other one, I don't have a clue what it goes to. But looking up under the hood, I can see where a lot of grounds have been bypassed, and you know, one's hooked here and one's over here and one hooked to the distributor, and so at some point somebody lost a ground on something and has probably already bypassed whatever those 2 items were, or the one item was. Because evidently the only issue he has is with this O2 sensor. So I want to see if this wire that we pulled down, is it the ground for this O2 sensor? I'm assuming it probably is. Oh yeah, there's enough wire sticking out of the end of it. There we go. So that proves that. Well, if I can get it the whole standard. Let there be light. Okay, so that'll fix that. I'm gonna ground it somewhere down here on the training. I mean, I could call the guy and say, hey, do you want to pay me X amount of $100, hundreds of dollars to pull the transmission, transfer case, everything out to get to this, to put an eyelet up there, to put it in the stock location. 200 and some odd thousand miles on this. The answer is probably gonna be no. Plus the fact I really don't want to pull a trainee just to fix a stupid wire. And there's no other way to do it because they've got when they've had the transmission out of it, they zip tied all the harness to the fuel lines and stuff that run up there. So probably did that before they put the train in. It does look like at some point everything wrapped around the drive shaft here would be my guess, because they've cut out sections, lots of you know, crimp and seal butt connectors, things like that. So I'm gonna fix this ground wire. We're gonna put an eyelet on it. I'm probably just gonna attach it somewhere to the transmission, because that makes the most sense. And just somewhere to keep it out of the way. We'll fix his coolant temp, and then we're gonna try to drive it through a drive cycle. If it's all good, we'll give it back to him. And then, you know, at some point, if they ever put a clutch in it, well, then you can go through it and fix all this mumbo jumbo. That would be my suggestion. So that's the fix, I guess, the temporary fix until, like I say, until the transmission comes out. But you can tell this old girl, this is not her first rodeo. She has been around the block a time or two. This harness up through here is a big mess. Like I say, the absolute proper fix is to pull the transmission out and fix up all this jerry rigging that's gone on through here throughout the years. Unfortunately, I mean, that's the only right answer, but you know, if this works and gets you to the end of the life of the vehicle, then, you know, then who cares? You know, that's the other way to look at it, I guess. And honestly, really the only time that's gonna get you is where, folks? That's right, at the car show. That's the only spot that's really gonna just knock the points down. You know, he flexes this thing up, gets the mirror under there. Judges are gonna see that. Automatic point deduction. That's a fact. We're gonna go into engine live data. We're gonna go to intake air temp and see if we can't figure out what's going on here. So that's this PID here, show selected. We're gonna graph it out. We're gonna full screen that so everybody can see it. And just for poop and laughter, we're gonna go way heavy on our line so everybody can see that. Okay. Let's see if it does something. Oh, wait, look at that. What do you know? Now it's minus 38. Wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle. Is that in the wiring? Is it in the connector? Let's try to hold the connector still. Interestingly enough. Oh, do I still got my light bulb in my pocket? Light bulb, where's my light bulb? Had to go get my light bulb. Ooh, those pins are nasty. No hot dog down the hallway with these things. That one's wide open. There is no connection there. So this feels like the pins are just super stretched. I just wanted to bypass it and then wiggle the wires to see, are we dealing with a connection issue? Or are we dealing with a pin fitment issue? Which we know immediately it's a pin fitment issue. That pin there is not bad. Granted, using a needle is not the best pin drag test, but there's nothing there. And this one here, we're barely touching the sides on that one. Let me get my glasses. Strangers in the night. We're gonna flip down the little tang. Usually I can get behind there with a needle without pulling the connector apart. It's interesting. I wonder who was in here jamming stuff in here. Somebody must have been at some point. That's the only way these get messed up. There we go. Well, that one's going to have tension. I think you're gonna have good tension now, fella. Let's plug it up. Make sure it works. We gotta breathe heavy on it. Ooh, I got 84-degree breath. Ooh, 86 degrees. I'm getting hotter. Okay, that looks like it's working. That was easy. And then the coolant sensor, we gotta take care of that as well. I see this in the truck. It's your classic TS5637 from Napper. Echo and Mako, it says. Where's the rubber, old son? What the world? Well, oh, I see. So this is probably off the OG. Classic move. Goop it up with the silicone. So he probably took the rubber off this connector so he could plug in the new sensor. Yada, yada, yada. Da, 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 da. Whatever, whatever. Let me find this thing. And that appears to be what happened, boys. Clip. We'll clip her back here and there. And it looks like that's what happened. I had the broken connector. Somebody did the classic silicone routine. Classic move. Definitely big points off in the car show you get caught doing that. Appears to be the same. Clarity shouldn't matter, but we're gonna do it OG. This one is the black one. We'll keep it approximately the same length. And this one here goes on the black. We're going to use everybody's favorite crimp and seal connectors. Everybody but Ivan. He hates these things. Let me get some red ones. And I'll admit I hate them as well when used improperly. Of course, we've covered that topic extensively. That one goes on the black. You guys probably don't need to watch this at this point. And the other one, we're going to assume it goes on the yellow. Probably a safe assumption. And then what we're going to do is we're going to clear the codes in this little fella. And over the next day or so, I'll probably rip it back and forth between my home and my job. See if we can't get a full drive cycle to run on it. And to make sure that we bring this customer satisfaction. And that he pays us. Is he paying me to satisfy him? Oh, that's weird. We won't think about that too much. We're going to heat shrink these little fellas down. I am kind of thankful that I don't live in the South where we don't see all of these old cars. It's kind of a catch-22, you know, because, you know, here everything's rusty, piece of crap, you know, if it's 5 years old, it's already junk. But the cool part about it is, or I guess the good part is, you know, we don't see these like wicked high mileage really old vehicles, which I don't know. It's like I say, it's kind of a catch-22 because you get these things here and every Tom, Dick, and Harry's had their fingers in it, and everything's screwed up, and they've had motors and trannies, and you know, they're just they could be a nightmare. I suppose you could have the other side of that where somebody took really good care of their car and it's really high mileage and it's old and clean and not bad to work on, but you know, like the more I look around here, the worse it gets. You know, and I guess it's just you know, just a product of time. You know, somebody's been in here, things break, things need fixing, and it just gets kind of half-assed for, you know, years and years and years, and just till it's just finally just a giant pile of mess. It's all fixable, but I don't know, where do you call it quits, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna let that cool down. I'm gonna run that back down, plug it up. I think we're good with our air temp sensor here. I think we can all agree that that's good. I don't know why somebody would have been in there spreading the terminals apart. Hard to say. Maybe they had one of those, you know, power booster, fuel mileage cheaters in there or something. You know what I mean? So that's that. Now that that's plugged in, let's make sure, oh, we could have just unenhanced. Let's make sure that that works. There's that. Okay. And then there should be engine coolant temp somewhere. I've probably already looked at it. It's right near where we were. Show selected. 111.2 degrees F. We're good to go. Unenhance. Unenhance. We're gonna back out of here. We're not gonna pay attention to the mass airflow code because, like I say, when they broke down, they're over here doing things. So we're gonna go in, we're gonna clear the codes out, and then run a drive cycle and see if anything else is frigged up. We're gonna leave it at that, folks. Now I know some of you, many of you, are gonna disagree with, you know, how we fixed it as far as that ground wire goes. You're gonna have to get past it, okay? That's all I can tell you, get past it. The proper fix, pull the transmission and fix all of that wiring harness back there, fix all the wiring harness up here. But where do you draw the line, you know, and not take it to the stupid level? If it fixes it and it runs a drive cycle, then who cares? You know, I don't know if this truck is just, you know, started on its first term of its ultimate death sentence here in New York. If so, you know, he's got some usable years in it. And if it's not causing a problem, then just leave it alone and fix it in the event that the transmission has to come out. That's what I would do. If we start to run the drive cycle and we find that there's another issue, which stems back to, you know, another ground, and, you know, we start having to play the hokey pokey, and it all leads back to these, you know, this harnesses that are rubbed or whatever it ends up being, then at that point make a decision. But if that simple fix saved, you know, however many hours labor, you know, 6 or 7 hours labor, pull the train in and out, do the repair and stuff, then great. You know, that's $700 less than what it would have been, and ultimately it still works. So, I don't know. Like I say, we can agree to disagree, but I will definitely tell the customer. I'm not going to say, hey, you know, I fixed it for real. Whatever. Why don't you guys get real in that comment section? Insta, Facebook. You know where we're at, folks. And if light comes back on, I'll come and get you. Otherwise, it's adios, muchachos and muchachas. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.